Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey, everybody. What is up? Toby Salgado here. Welcome to Super Agents Live. Glad you found this show. Well, that's assuming you just found this show. If you've been listening, hey, thanks for retuning back in. Now, as you guys know, what I do on this show, and by the way, man, we are the number 3 rated show for real estate agents on iTunes in the world. Number 3 in the world. And at one point we were number 59 in the world for business. And I got to tell you something, not that you care. It's not your wheelhouse. I went for a week. I went away. I went on vacation. You know, I was like, Dad, and it was around, I think, Thanksgiving. And I didn't upload an episode. And iTunes literally destroyed my rankings. So I'm slowly building back up. And you know what? You know how you can help me? If you like the show, a couple things. One, I would love for you to give us a rating and review on iTunes. That's always appreciated. So if you can do that, I would like that. I would be appreciative. And we do every now and again go out and read everybody who's given reviews. So that's kind of cool. You get to hear your name shouted out in 110 countries. Now, and look, here's the other thing I'm going to want you to do, or I think you will want to do. Now, I don't want you to miss future great content like this. So what you're going to want to do is go to our website, superagentslive.com. Sign up for the show, subscribe to the podcast, and download my ebook. It's free, 53 pages called How to Sell. Now, today's episode is with my guest. He has 3 offices. This guy did last year 376 transactions for $70 million. And what we're going to talk about is what he did starting from zero. How he started from zero, how he went out there and built his list. We're going to talk and share with you guys how to, like, step by step, how to implement an expired channel. Everybody needs to have, in most markets, I literally recorded today a lady, I won't tell you her name. I recorded today. She does $200 million. And and her average sales of $1.3 million. And she's in Vegas, Las Vegas. She implemented an expired channel, and she only calls $1 million houses or more that expired, and it's working for her. Unbelievable. So we talk about that in this. We talk about why that person who's trying to sell real estate on the side or part-time, why it doesn't work, and why you really need to go jump both feet in. Okay, that's it. Before we get to the episode, as you know, we always have a sponsor spot. Our sponsor today is realestateradioexperts.com. Go to the website, Real Estate Radio Experts. If you don't know, radio is the secret weapon. Radio experts. realestateradioexperts.com, which is us, guys. The site is up. It's live. We have some video. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. And if you're thinking about doing radio, let's chat. Radio is if you want listing leads, it's the only place, man. It is uncrowded. It's a proven method of capturing high quality listing leads. It's repeatable. It's duplicatable. So, I'd love to help you out with that. Okay. That's it. Hey, let's get to the content. Today on the show, we have a guy, pretty interesting guy. This person has 3 different offices, so 3 teams for a total of 14 people. Last year, he closed 376 transactions and is growing, and for a total volume of just under $70 million. I am thrilled to welcome Cory Meyer. Hey, Cory, thanks for taking the time out today.
Thanks a lot for having me.
No problems. So listen, I've given the audience a brief overview of your business, but maybe take a minute, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
A little bit about myself. I grew up in Sonoma. That's why I just opened that office there this year. Sonoma Valley, Napa Valley, the wine country. Moved up to Redding, California didn't know a soul in 2006 when the market crashed, and I started got 2006. In 2010, I opened my brokerage, and from there we've been growing at a pretty rapid pace. I opened my brokerage with just myself and 2 buyer's agents and 1 transaction coordinator, and we've been growing pretty steady since then. I live here in a town called Palisadro, and got 3 kids, 6-year-old daughter, 3-year-old daughter, and a 1-year-old son, and,
wow.
and my wife. So
you're a busy
my
guy.
Story there.
Yeah. So
What's that?
I just said you're a busy guy. You know, you have,
Yeah.
I have 3 kids as well, but 6, 3, and then 1. I mean, just you're not getting that much sleep.
Yeah, 3 kids and 3 offices, so I run around a lot.
So I want to go back to Reading in 06, right? Because, for me, I'm in San Diego. So 06 was a great year. We really started to see the contraction in 07 here. But you moved to Reading. I think a lot of people find themselves in this situation. You're in a town and you knew nobody. Now, people out there in the audience may live in their town, but they still feel like they don't know anybody. What did you do, Cory, when you hit Reading? You're selling real estate, but you don't know anybody. What did you do from there?
My broker literally basically said, get a phone book and start making dials and call expired listings. That's what he told me to do, and I was like, okay, how do you do that? And so I ended up with the Mike Ferry organization. And so, I was 2006. Well, San Diego might have been going strong. In 2005, Sonoma, I was flipping homes as a 25-year-old kid, and I was flipping homes, and the market completely shut down in May of 2005.
Wow.
And then I moved to Reading, so I didn't get licensed till the beginning of 06, but it was already heading down. People were going, what's going on? But the market was still kind of steady up here. And so it did slow down that year going in, and then more obviously from there. But I just, I remember selling my truck that I owned free and clear, and borrowing some money to pay for a year of coaching with the Mike Ferry organization to learn how to call expired listings and bang the phone. So I was young, 26 years old, so I was working 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., opening the office every day and closing it every day, and just making dials until I could get some business going.
Wow, so you had some hustle. Now, maybe I wrote this down. Maybe I got it wrong. But in 06, when you moved to Reading, did you say you started and you had 2 buyer's agents? Did you just roll out with 2 buyer's agents, or was that
No. That was in 2010 when I opened my brokerage.
Got it.
In 2006, I went to work for ERA, and I was there for about a year and a half. And I've always been attracted to a team. I like to have people around me. I like to work with others. And so I just kind of fell into that before I knew what a team was, and ended up with a partner that lasted a short period of time, but and quickly went to 1 buyer's agent, I think probably my second year in the business.
Got it. Now, okay, so let's stay on 06, because I mean, you burnt the ships, right? I mean, you sold your car and you paid for a coach. I mean, most people, even if they have the money, they don't invest in themselves, and you didn't. You borrowed money, you sold your car. What is it? How did you? For people out there who think, man, maybe a coach will help, maybe it won't. I mean, what was in you that you were willing to just completely bet everything?
Well, if people who know me, I'm a pretty big risk taker and pretty direct. So, I mean, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. If it's in my mind, it's happening. So, also, you, the listeners, and you probably know, I mean, what the agents were like in 05 and 04, all these, call them, I guess, bandwagon agents jumping on, getting their license.
Yep. And
by 06 and 07, that market, up here at least in Northern California, it was shutting down. these guys were sitting around there still with their chest puffed out saying, yeah, I closed 25 transactions last year and for, $10 million and I'm a top producer. And by late 06, 07, they were twiddling their thumbs. And so I had to really look around. I was, I think, one of 30 agents in the rookie class at the ERA I was at, and I don't think a single one of them's in the business today up here in Reading. And I just looked around the office and looked at what all these agents were doing that were still at their chest puffed out as top producers from '05 and the boom. And then I looked, and I still thought, well, you're not doing that much business. I found one guy in town here that seemed to be outperforming everybody by a long shot, and I asked around and found out what he was doing and learned he was with Mike Ferry, and I just that day said, hey, I got to find $12,000 to pay for my first year of coaching, and I don't even know what they're going to teach me, but this guy's doing it, and he's kicking butt. So
yeah, that's interesting.
I just went for it.
Well, and I'll tell you, if you go back to like '05, I mean, it was, and I think we're entering a period like that today a little bit. If you '04, '05, you go to the supermarket and the person bagging your groceries is saying, "Hey, listen, I'm getting into real estate," and they did, and you know what? It was so hot and so crazy that even if you were bagging groceries, you could do some deals, and then obviously in '06 for you, '07, '08 for me, those people were completely washed out. Do you think we're entering a period similar to that right now?
I don't see many people jumping on getting their license. I think there are some young people that are getting in the business right now, but they're doing it for a career, which is nice, not to do it on the side.
Yeah.
I really don't, 1 minute this year I thought, things were really starting to pick up, and I thought we'd see that time again where people were jumping into the real estate business. Now it's really slowed down again, it seems like, and I just don't know what's going to happen here in the next year. I really can't predict whether people are going to start jumping back in. I think what people have learned is how hard this industry is to succeed at a high level. With the prices that have dropped, obviously if you're in San Diego, that's a similar price point to my Sonoma market, but you can't just sell 5 to 10 homes anymore and make a great living. You really need to kick butt, and that takes a lot of hard work. So most people used to do this business, get into it as a side job or a hobby, and I think that we're going to weed them out. And I think the consumer's not going to want to work with that type of agent. I think you're really going to have to step into, being a true professional, or you're going to be just another agent that maybe works like a Redfin model or something, and people just use you for the transaction.
Right. Well, I mean, look, in San Diego if again, going back to that person bagging groceries, so like my house is $1 million, and that's not uncommon. So, you sell, you work with me as a buyer, you sell $1 million house, that's $30,000 you're going to walk away with. And I think people were going, hey, I only need to do 3 or 4 of those a year, and I'm doing fantastic. How did you? Let me ask you this, Cory. So in '06, you picked up the phone, you started banging on expireds. Now, I'm sure that worked for you because you're still here. What is the next thing that you did? So you started calling expireds. Well, look, hold on. Let me scratch that. What did you learn from the Mike Ferry organization about calling expireds that you didn't know?
Mainly predictable building a predictable business. It's all in the numbers. So though my team and company is structured quite different now, and I'm not personally making calls anymore, it all works the same. It's all about, if you want to get to have a predictable business in the real estate business, you can't sit around and hope for the next person to come in. That's one of the things I learned watching these people sitting floor time or open houses. That's one of the biggest things. So number tracking, predictable business by being able to calculate, your average contacts you're going to make out of the dials you make, and then bring that calculation all the way down through contacts to leads, leads to appointments, appointments to pendings, pendings to closings, and being able to track that, if you know your numbers, it's pretty easy to figure out what you need to do on a daily basis. And it's not fun, but I always go back to that book, Eat the Frog.
Whoop, did we lose you there, Cory?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Did you drop your phone?
No.
Okay.
I always go back to that book, Eat the Frog.
Yeah.
You heard of that book?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if you had to eat the frog every day, it's the worst thing you got to do. That's kind of similar to prospecting. So if you know your numbers and you just got to get it done every day, you're going to do it in the morning, get it out of the way.
Yeah. And
then your business is fairly predictable, and that's what I learned a lot from. And then also the scripting and stuff like that, and so on.
I mean, look, for you, how important was the scripting? Because, I don't know. I'm sure you have taken the disc profile. My sense of you, we've only been on the phone now for about 11 minutes. My sense of you is that you're not necessarily the super gregarious guy. And I could be wrong, but I don't know. I mean, how important was the script for a personality like yours?
The scripts are very important. So I'm a super high D and a high I.
Okay, me too.
So they're almost exactly the same, and then I have virtually no S and C.
Yeah.
The scripts are very. I mean, I'm good at talking with people, but the scripts are key because you got to learn them over and over again, and then you put your personality to them. That's what people don't get. You never want to be the guy that sounds like a robot on the phone and just follows a script. They're going to tell you to,
yeah.
But once you internalize those scripts and you memorize them, then they just come across in your personality. You just naturally ask the questions every time when you get them on the phone, and that's what was really important for me. I'm coaching all my agents. That's kind of my one thing now is I coach all my agents. And that's one of the things I tell them. You've got to internalize the scripts. You got to know your numbers. You got to make the business predictable. If you have a consistent paycheck and reach the goals you have for yourself in this business.
Okay, got it. And it almost seems like if in terms of, it almost seems like if you're just going to call expireds, I mean, you can hire an ISA for super cheap, even somebody in the Philippines, and just have them making the phone calls and setting the appointments. Have you tried that?
I've done the Philippines thing, and I don't like it at all. So everything I have is in house, and you know what? This is just at a start in the nowadays. There's virtually no expireds where I live, so
yeah,
I kind of tune out people when they're sitting there talking about building your business on expireds nowadays, because expireds cancels FSBOs. I mean, they're few and far between.
Yep.
And with the do not call list, it's even harder. So, I mean, that's just how I got to start the business when you asked. I'm not trying to, it still works. You still have to find a way to lead generate and then do your calls and do the predictable, find your numbers and make it predictable. So you still have to do that. You just have to find other ways of doing it nowadays. If you don't have a high volume of expireds, canceled, and FSBOs, I'm lucky to have 1 to 2 today per market I'm in. That actually get full contact info and everything. So they're actually not a main focus for us anymore.
So for some, yeah, and look, in San Diego, the same thing. I mean, there's virtually no FSBOs and no expireds, and that's there's other places across the country that I know of that those two channels still work. What can you tell people, for somebody in San Diego or your market, if expireds and FSBOs is not something that you would recommend? And somebody starting their business, where would you push them to what would you suggest for them to do?
Door knocking.
Yeah,
hands down. Hands down, door knocking. So, I mean, you might think I'm stupid, but I probably because I don't door knock all day long, because I've tracked it, I make about $3,000 an hour in the lifetime of door knocking for my career. So I've tracked it. I know my closings, and I've tracked the hours I've door knocked, and it's equated to about $3,000 an hour.
That's amazing. That is amazing,
yeah.
Man. So today, how often do you do that today? Or do you?
I don't door knock anymore. That's
okay.
why I said you might think I'm stupid. for not doing that because I should, but there's so many ways to stop renting flyers in apartment complexes. Those are easy to hit 100 doors in an hour and a half.
Right.
Go door knock, if you pull an open house, to me, the mindset has to shift. Open house is not to go sit at an open house. It's to use it as a tool for leverage for contacting other people. So if you do an open house, then you use that as a way to call someone and break down the wall of just calling them and saying, hey, are you looking to buy or sell real estate? You call and say, hey, I wanted to invite you to an open house I'm doing in your neighborhood. You go door knock 100 homes around that open house, but your goal is not so much the open house to be a success, it's to contact all those people.
Right.
So those are the ways I would do it if I was brand new in the business and I didn't have any money to invest in any kind of lead generation business,
Yeah. No, look, I think that's great advice. So for, look, I think, again, talking about, I'm 99, going back to the disc, I'm 99D, 99I, 34S, and 34C. My personality doesn't quite fit that. Not everybody has my personality or your personality, Cory. What would you tell those people who are out there going, geez, yeah, I know that makes sense. I believe Cory, but I can't get myself to do it. I'm fearful or whatever they feel. What piece of advice could you offer that person?
Well, I think people get so caught up in all these speakers and coaches that have their niche that they're going after, like the Brian Buffini, the Mike Ferry. They're all so different, but it's all the same. When people tell me I'm not a cold caller, I'm not a door knocker, well, it's a relationship business. I don't care if you grab the phone book and call people, or you call your friends and family members, or go bring them a pop-by gift or all that stuff. You're constantly making contact with people. Mm-hmm. And you probably know the statistics way better than I, and I won't even quote them because I think I'm probably off, but something, everybody on average knows 4 to 5 people a year that are going to buy or sell real estate. Yeah. So whether you're bringing them cookies or you're bringing them a pumpkin on Halloween, or you're calling out of the phone book or whatever you got to do, you just still have to make contact. If you don't make contact, you can't make deal. You just can't. So whether, and there's other tools they can use. I mean, there's so many lead generation tools for buyers online and pay-per-click advertising, and that's fine. I think a lot of it's, just too competitive and it's on its way out. But there's all those types of tools, too, if they have the money to invest to start getting. But again, you still have to contact the people.
Yeah, no, I agree. So how about this? So let's say that I push myself. I'm gonna door knock, or I'm gonna talk with somebody at the grocery store. I'm gonna make contact with people. I get their name, I get their phone number, and I get their email address. I mean, well, first of all, what should I make contact with you, Cory? What should I ask for, and then what should I do with that information?
Once you make contact with the client?
Yeah, or a prospect. I meet you you meet me at the grocery store, and you tell, how would you handle that interaction?
Well, first of all, one of the things I tell people that I say didn't learn
Hey, Cory, your connection is really, really bad. Maybe, are you in I don't know if it's a weird spot you're in, but maybe start over and see if the connection clears up a bit.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Can you hear me better now?
I can, yeah.
One thing I tell all new agents is all the information I used to think was silly to get into a database, do it. Make sure you have the tightest database possible, because when you get later on in your career, when you get 1,000+ transactions under your belt, and your information is so tight, you can literally make a living off of that database. And so what I would tell them is to make sure you get all their information, and then make sure you have a great system, whatever it is, even the simplest system, just get all the information in, and then you just have to touch everybody on a consistent basis. So, when I was making dials and I was just trying to fill my pipeline with contacts, that's all I cared about. It was making contact with people, and if you were going to buy or sell in the next year or 5, 10 years, I wanted you in the database if I thought there was any chance that I would be able to earn your business by staying in contact with you. That was a lead to me when I started out. And so the key to what I think helped me be successful was I never had a person in my database without a call date set, a reminder.
Yeah. Yep.
So whatever system you're using, make sure there's a reminder so then you never forget about people. You don't have to think every day who to call, and you'll never lose track of them. So that'd be the first thing I do is make sure you fill that lead into a proper database and then make sure you're touching them consistently.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, and how, for you, Cory, what does that mean consistently?
Well, like I said, I'm sorry about my voice and my nose here. I got a little cold thing going on.
Don't worry about it. I'm glad you hopped on the phone. And here's what I'm at. I mean, so is that once a month? Is that once every 2 months? And,
Well, I gauge it off the client.
Okay.
So obviously you want to have some sort of like drip campaign in your email. You want to send them stuff every so often because your goal is top of mind, right? Stay at top of mind. But what I used to always do is I still make my company and my teams do this, is whatever the person says. So if the person says they're waiting, they're going to be 6 months out, you don't want to annoy them and call them every month, but you don't want to wait 6 months either. So I usually gauge when I'm going to call them off the conversation. If there's no, if they don't give me information on a date, I'm going to buy next year or sell in 2 years. Whatever it is, at a minimum, I'm going to cut it in half. So if they say I'm going to be ready to buy in 6 months, then I'm not going to call them any later than 3 months out. So either 2 to 3 months, I'm going to be setting that call. If they're a year out, then I'm calling them within 6 months. Obviously, if there's a chance I can earn their business in the next 3 months, I'm going to call them as often as I need to. Based on the feeling I get that I'm not annoying them
right
when I call them. So
okay,
that's kind of how I gauge it. I gauge mine on the conversation, so that may not be the right structure or what others preach out there, but that's just kind of what I've always done.
Okay.
My goal has always been to get them in there.
Okay, I love it. So what is? Look, I know you have 3 teams. You're opening up new offices. You're obviously always looking for good talent. What is the one thing, if there is a thing? What is the one thing that's working for you in your business today?
One thing that's working for me is we focus really hard on listings. When I was newer in the business, I built it out, ended up with a lot of buyers. So from an agent perspective, the listing business, focusing in on that, making sure we're doing everything consistently. So every single day. So even though expireds aren't big, we still call them. All our other lead generation systems we have that we use for generating contacts so we can follow up. So focusing on the listing business has been working really well. About a year and a half, 2 years ago now almost, I said that's going to be our main focus, and we've almost quadrupled our listing business tripled it from that point in time. But what's working also for me is just me personally is now I'm like I said, made it my one thing to coach my agents. So I don't call it coaching, I call it a growth call. Focusing in on how we can support them, what they need, staying in constant communication with them. And I think that, that's what the agents want. And then, team leaders, when you're trying to manage as much as I am with 3 locations and stuff. And, like I said, Sonoma just started, so it's new. It takes a lot to try and keep your finger on the pulse of everybody who's in the sales departments.
Right.
So those calls and finding out, everything from what's going on with you personally to what can I do to help, and then hold them accountable. That's something that's really helping me right now, because I've watched in a short period of time my agents' numbers dramatically increase. So,
but what is that, Cory? I mean, is it because you're holding them accountable? Because they say, hey, I'm going to make 50 calls, and then at the end of the week, you're like, oh, hey, what's up? You only made 40. You only made 30.
That's it.
Wow.
I made a big shift for me too, though, is I don't set their goals. So my 3 teams, their goals exceed my goals. So, my goal next year is 5 transactions. Their goal is up to 670 transactions. So I now support them on their goals to what I need to do to help them achieve those. It takes, then there's a lot I'm working on. So my passion is really in marketing. I love going, I love learning, and I love building new marketing ideas and stuff and going after it. So that's why kind of my role in the company now is the coaching, and then obviously I have support for me to make sure the details of marketing, everything happens. But that's an area I'm really focused in on right now. Is got a lead manager helping me get all the data, and then able to analyze all that data, and then also have a marketing manager to see my ideas through.
Got it, Cory.
Overall management.
Hey, yeah, your connection's really, really fuzzy. Can you hear me okay, or is it just you coming to me that's not good?
Yeah. I can hear you really, really good. I apologize. I'm out at my house here, and sometimes I get bad reception.
Got it. Well, listen, we'll wrap it up here. The one last thing I'd like you to talk about, and it kind of supports the whole notion of you working on listings, is you have this program that is like sold in 30, or maybe tell us a little bit about that program and how that it has helped build the listing side of your business.
It's just, it's basically, it's your unique selling proposition, or, your call to action. You need to have something that differentiates you from the rest. It's very simple. So people think there's always a catch, and there's a lot of agents doing the guaranteed sale, or I'll buy it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things out there. For us, it's all about pricing, right? We have the largest marketing plan in pretty much all the markets we're in. And so it just really comes down to price, because we know what works. And so we do the 29-day program just kind of lays it on the seller. It's like, hey, most sellers all want to pick their own price. And so that's usually what holds up the sale. Bottom line, if you're doing the marketing tactics like I do, and the general things you need to do, but we all know that the list price is whatever the statistics show, 70 to 90% of what's going to actually sell the house. But the 29-day just says, hey, you know what? Let's take the guesswork out of this. You pay for an appraisal on the property. We list at that appraised value. In 2 weeks, we do 5% price reduction. And if I don't have it sold in 29 days, then I won't charge you a listing side commission. So it's a super simple program, but to be honest, almost 100% of people don't take advantage of it because they just don't want to pay for the appraisal.
Wow.
And they also trust in the fact that we go above and beyond in our marketing program. So that's also a key factor, that you're doing your job and you believe in what you're doing in the marketing program you have for the client.
Got it. So in terms of, I'm sure you market, you love marketing, you market that product, and that's your unique selling proposition. Is that a hook? I mean, has your calls for listings, is that increased your business dramatically, or is it just somewhat?
It's so hard to say. It's really hard for me to say. I know there's probably people listening saying you don't have exact data on exactly where every single lead comes from. You know what I've found at this point in my career, and it's always my goal to build this out in each market we go into, but I call it the swirl effect. I mean, there's almost nobody in my county that doesn't know my name. If I call and order a pizza and tell them my name, they say, "Oh, the real estate guy?" And I say, "Yeah." Or I call anybody. It's the amount of marketing that we do that I call the swirl effect. So, I mean, they're driving home, they hear me on the radio, they get home, turn on the news, they see me on the TV, they get a mailer, they sign up for something online and for real estate, then one of my team members calls them, or then they talk to their dentist and he refers us.
Right.
It's so hard to track everything, and at the end of the day, it's like, we do pretty good job at tracking, right? We spend our money wisely, and we know what areas we need to invest in and what areas we need to drop. So we're not all bad at that, but at the end of the day, it's all, the P&L, and if everything comes out right, and you have this massive swirl effect, there's some areas I invested in that most agents, it's just like coaching. You talked about coaching. They don't want to invest the money because of the time it takes, and it's a long-term investment. Most coaching programs are a year long. I've just learned that, almost anything you do in this business, you're not going to see results. For the most part, the good results for 8 months to a year. So
yep.
Things like radio, television, those are all things that people invest in for 1, 2, 3 months, and then they go, well, this stunk. Those are areas that, fortunately, when I got to a point where I could afford all of it, I stuck through it, and now I really don't do anything that I won't commit to for at least 8 months. And once I did that, there's certain things that really worked, and then that swirl effect started to happen, and so I can't tell you whether it was this is a long-winded answer to your question, but
no,
I can't tell you whether it was I can't really tell you whether it's the call to action always. People do call and directly ask about the 29-day, but for the most part, we're just so top of mind for a lot of people in the community here that it really helps add to that. So.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And look, so what you call the swirl effect, I call the echo effect, right? You're in a canyon and you say hello, and then you hear it back, you hear it back, you hear it back. So I think when you do all this, I didn't know that, number one, you're on radio. So are you a Wagner guy?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, I know, Matt. Yeah, okay. So that makes sense. That all makes sense now. So when you're on the radio and you're doing mailers and now you're doing TV, I mean, there is this big pull. Okay. Awesome, man. Hey, Cory, we're going to wrap it up a little bit early just because your connection is not ideal. Let me ask you a question I ask every single guest because I'm very curious as to what you read. So here's the question. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy today?
Well, I'd have to say the Bible, but because a lot of your motivational and business books are come out of that. But I'd have to say if I was to pick one business book, it'd have to be obviously Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Love it.
If I was to pick one.
I think everybody should read that book. And if you're in the audience and you haven't read that book, go get a free copy using our link, audibletrial.com/superagentslive. Cory, I know you're always looking for talent, and I encourage my audience when they hear a guest like you come on, I encourage them to reach out and say thank you and look, maybe there's somebody's out there that would love to work with you. Where can people find you, Cory?
They can email me at Cory Meyer, CoryMeyer @CoryMeyer.com.
Awesome. All right, buddy. Hey, thanks so much, and let's keep in touch.
All right. Hey, sorry about the phone connection.
We'll do better next time.
All right. Thanks.
See you, bud.
Let's go.